Hello and welcome to Brands Hatch in Kent for the final round of the Molson Group British Sidecar Championship. You might remember back in the summer at Cadwell Park we were shadowing three crews. Tommy Philp and Tom Bryant, who had a really bad weekend, and we'll talk a bit more about that later. Rob Biggs and Jerome Schmitz, who are here in the Santander Salt awning. And George Holden and young Oscar Lawrence, who are here this weekend on a new outfit, a very special outfit built by Dean Ride, called the Ride F1. But the number 5 crew of Biggs and Schmitz have had a good season. They've been mentored to a certain extent by number 2 in the world, Todd Ellis and Emmanuel Clement, their teammates in the same awning, although this crew have been away extensively on world duty, and Todd Ellis finds himself with one more round of the World Championship to do in second place in his debut season. Jerome Schmitz, a serving RAF technician, full of admiration for that crew and the lady passenger, but meanwhile he's done a good job with Rob Biggs this year. The immaculate preparation of the outfit is essential if you want to get to the end of the race, and Biggs has been very good when it comes to reliability. Attention to detail is paramount and a very important part of finishing races, and everyone in the paddock does their bit. Emmanuel Clement herself, a dab hand with the tools. Todd Ellis giving Rob Biggs a little bit of technical advice, checking out the systems on the laptop. These outfits are very high tech, and Birchall's already crowned champions on their Hayth Honda. Ben and Tom Birchall coming here will actually be going to Estoril in the World Championship to fight for honours, putting a toe in the water for the final round in Portugal in 2 weeks' time. But already crowned British champions, Ben and Tom Birchall were only beaten at Cadwell Park in wet conditions by Todd Ellis. The rest of the time, apart from one DNF at Donington, they've been invincible. In the Holden and Lawrence awning, George Holden unwrapping and unveiling the Ride F1, this outfit which they are trying on an experimental basis here at Brands Hatch. It's designed and built by Dean Ride to rival the Adolph RS and indeed the LCRs, so we now have 3 bikes on the grid, this one in the hands of George Holden.
Well, it's all come about. I know the owner, Chris Wright, and good friends with Dean Ride, who's built it. I've sold my bike recently, so I've been free for these last couple of rounds. So we had the opportunity to bring it here and give it a run out. So it's just this one-off occasion that we're going to give it a run and see how it goes. But unfortunately, we've been plagued with misfire all week and not been able to use it to its full potential. But so far, from what we've seen, the bike feels really, really good. So yeah, hopefully we'll get sorted for the race and have another go later on today.
The Ride F1, very similar to the LCR, from which all these contemporary outfits were copied, if I can say the word. The Windle came after the LCR, that was very similar in a box section. Now, of course, we have the Adolph RS made in Germany. They all carry all the sophisticated electronics and the fuel tank inside the tub. Rick Lawrence there, himself a championship-winning passenger, fiddling around with the electronics. You can see how tight it is for space. But what about the passenger platform?
It's pretty good so far. Obviously with this misfire we haven't got properly going yet, so I haven't really been able to passenger it properly, but sorted the handholds out, a bit different places for me, but got them happy and handles pretty well passenger wise, so I'm quite happy with it, yeah.
Well, it's a young team, very tight for space in there, but Rick helping them out. The important physical aspect of this bike is that the centre monocoque chassis is one complete fold. A long section goes all the way through, and that you would think would lend itself to greater rigidity. Rick Lawrence having to put a bit of light on in there. It might be high tech inside the chassis, but Rick's phone is not exactly high tech. We'll have to have a whip round in the paddock and sort him out another one, I think. But good to see Rick getting involved and passing on some of the expertise and knowledge that he's picked up through an illustrious passengering career. Engines beginning to run in the background. George always smiling. It's going to be an interesting experiment. If they get it running properly, just warming up the Yamaha, then I'd love to see this bike put through its paces, not just in their hands, but in other, maybe even quicker hands as well. the omnipresent Avon tyre truck. Weather conditions at Brands is a little bit damp, a little bit cloudy, and we've had 1 or 2 incidents in the solo races earlier over the weekend. But as you can see, there is damp around on the paddock. It's cold, people have got their coats on. Doesn't keep the celebrities away. Paul Hollywood, celebrity baker, learning the intricacies of a racing sidecar outfit from the best in the business, one of the best in the paddock, that's for sure, here at Brands Hatch. Todd Ellis explaining to Paul Hollywood what it all does. Good to see celebrities get involved and come along here. You'd be amazed how many people in show business are motorsport fans. You'll notice the logo of an Italian car manufacturer on Paul's jacket. So he's obviously used to mixing in quite prominent paddocks. Jake Dixon here from the MotoGP paddock. Good to see him here. His young cousin Jack Nixon on the cusp of winning the Pirelli National Junior Superstock Championship. And nobody is too proud to take a few tips from world champions. And why would they be? Andy Hetherington there, himself a former Sidecar World Championship passenger. Rob Biggs getting ready for the off. Our number 5 crew that we've been following from Cadwell Park, and we'll be going to Estoril in 2 weeks' time with the rest of the world racing paddock. On goes the number 6 fairing for Todd Ellis and Emmanuel Clement. This young lady, this French passenger, has done an absolutely amazing job this year, not just on the bike, but all around the paddock with her mechanical skills, her attention to detail, her work ethic. The crowds have flocked in here to Brands Hatch because it's a popular event. It's the last big event of the season, and we've got the British Sidecar Championship on the grid. Race 1 lining up. A wink and a nod from Rob and Jerome, the RAF technician, very focused. Likewise, Emmanuel. For Todd Ellis, it's a good outing. Lights came in, and the lights went out, and it was a cracking start by Ben and Tom Birchall as they headed the pack into Paddock Hill Bend for the first time, with Lewis Blackstock and Paddy Rosley, followed by Steve Kershaw and Ryan Charwood, pushing Todd Ellis and Emmanuel Clement back into 4th place. Rob Biggs, Santander Salt teammate, slotted into 5th. Biggs and Druids immediately moved into 3rd ahead of Kershaw. They are arch rivals from the British Championship back in 2018 and 2019. 2020 was when Kershaw lifted the title. 2019 saw this pairing, well not this pairing, but Todd Ellis as British champions. And always knocking at the door, we've seen the 95 Yamaha of Lewis Blackstock and Paddy Rosley, and the final round at Brands Hatch was no exception. The red outfit looking sharp, Kershaw and Ellis renewing their battle here, but out in front, Ben and Tom Birchall were looking supreme. Were they going to make it 2 victories here with double points on offer in the final round? The red number 6 of Todd Ellis and Emmanuel Clement poised there behind Kershaw and Blackstock as Kershaw made the move through to take 2nd place, with Ellis lining up Blackstock and a Graham Hill bend diving through on the inside, only to have the compliment almost returned. Great fight, what a performance we've seen from the 95 Express tyres, Blackstock and Rosley. But out of the race went Ben and Tom Birchall, only the 2nd DNF this year, the first one being a collision at Donington, which took off the sidecar wheel arch. So their race 1 was over, with the Hayth Honda unusually breaking down for whatever reason. Meanwhile, Kershaw and Charwood then were out in front, looking good. First time together in 2021, focusing on the World Championship and doing a great job here dipping a toe in the water at the final round at Brands Hatch. Kershaw and Charlwood led. Further down the order, John Holden and Jason Pitt were leading Craig Curry and Justin Sharp, with Phil Bell and Jimmy Connell, the number 18 Marin Motorsport outfit, behind. Scott Laurie and Rob Biggs were having a real tussle until this happened. Synchronised spin. Both were to restart quickly, with Scott Laurie and Shelley Smithers getting away faster than the number 5 Santander Salt crew. Although Biggs and Schmitz were not so lucky, they lost a place as a result of that spin. Into the last lap, and it was frantic up the front. Kershaw led Ellis, and right there, waiting in the wings, Blackstock and Rosney, just in case these two happened to collide. And that was very much on the cards, because they were swapping paint all the way around the last lap. Old adversaries, former teammates, no love lost on the track, but best of friends off track. Ellis and Kershaw racing side by side on the last lap. Which one would get the verdict? There was no doubt that the Quattro Red 29 outfit was determined to hang on to the lead, and going into those last few bends, heading up for Westfield now, that was fast there down Pilgrim's Drop. Blackstock and Rosney still there, very much in touch. Ellis the filling in the sandwich, but Kershaw and Charlwood with tail-enders behind. Sean Hilditch, the yellow and black outfit, vastly experienced, blue flags being waved. He knew they were coming, and he was not about to put a foot wrong and impede the progress of the top three. Under the bridge they came for the last time, into clearways with Kershaw and Charlwood with their nose in front. There was no way they were going to surrender to a sprint to the flag by Todd Ellis and Emmanuel Clement. Victory it was indeed to the number 29, Blackstock and Rosney getting the final place on the podium. Ellis and Clement second, and it was a fantastic result for Kershaw. They were thrilled to bits. Smiles all round, pit wall, smiles all round on the podium, and the crowd, the big crowd here for the Brands Hatch finale, loving every minute of top-class sidecar racing, and why wouldn't they? Grinning from ear to ear, Rob Biggs' teammate, and back in the awning, the spoils of second place. Next day dawned, cooler and ready to go. Everybody excited about what might lie ahead. A good crowd in here. The race was early in the morning, so there was lots of activity to do. And we talked about our teams. We've had a good look at Holden and Lawrence, and here in the Santander Salt Holding, it's all hands to the pumps on Rob Biggs' outfit. But what of Tommy Philp and Tom Bryant? Roger Body caught up with Tommy's father, Bill. He came in for a chat.
How's Tommy getting on? How is he?
He's still off sick at the moment. He's been cleared. He's had a chest x-ray. He's all clear with his chest.
Is he here today?
He was talking about coming today, depending on the weather, I think it was. But he possibly will come, yeah. So he's trying to go back to the doctors, trying to get an appointment now for his back and possibly his kidneys. We have a conversation with him. He's coughing quite a lot. Oh, yeah, he's still coughing. It's Cadwell Revival. What was that, 7 weeks ago, 7.5 weeks ago?
It was indeed 6 or 7 weeks ago, and this is what happened. On the run down out of the gooseneck, straight on into that tyre wall. It was a wet track, there was nowhere to go. Once on the grass, it was a massive impact, and that's not something I want to see again. Poor Tommy was not in a good place.
When we looked at it, it's twisted every component on the front, every single part. We had to cut the chassis to get the shock absorber out the front. Shock absorber's damaged. Everything, the engine cradle, the exhaust, where it hit the exhaust and pushed the exhaust into the engine, bending the engine cradle. And we'd always said to him, look, Tommy, if anything happens and the bike gets totaled, we can't repair it. We don't have them funds in place. But yeah, people have pulled together. We've got a good team that have helped us. A couple of the sidecar teams have helped us. I've ordered the under tray, airbox, because the airbox obviously got smashed. Everything, that's all ordered. waiting for Jed to supply them bits, which he's now got. The fairing, we had a spare fairing, that was a brand new fairing on it, which was completely destroyed. I think the only thing on the fairing I saved was the little mounts that rivet on. Apart from that, the whole bike was totaled.
He is intending to come back next year then?
If there's a package in place for him, he wants to win the British.
Yeah.
That's all he wants to do. He's not interested in the world rounds.
All right, mate.
Good night.
Well, give Tommy my regards.
I will do. Thanks, Roger.
See you later.
Yes, buddy.
Well, I think that sentiment goes for everyone in the paddock. It'll be good to see Tommy Phil and Tom Bryant back. They've been an impressive young pairing, and we need young talent in the Sidecar paddock, and we have some young talent, certainly in the shape of Todd Ellis and Emmanuel Clement. They are 2 weeks away from going to Portugal with a distinct possibility of becoming 2021 FIM Sidecar World Champions. But they have to overcome a few obstacles first. Meanwhile, their teammates, Rob Biggs and Jerome Schmitz, the third of our featured crews, get ready to do battle for the final time at Brands Hatch. George Holden and Oscar Lawrence with the Ride F1, discussing the intricacies with some of the other crews, and Rupert Archer is in there as well. Rupert rides an Adolf RS, the German-built chassis. He's looking with a great deal of interest at the Ride F1. Possibly another candidate there, who knows? The important thing with that bike, as I said earlier, is the one-piece fold. The chassis member, the monocoque, is one complete length from stem to stern, improved rigidity, and well, the others come in sections. That must make them more flexible, I would have thought. Not for me to know, I'm a mere commentator, not an engineer, but look at the crowds in Brands Hatch for this final round ahead of the second sidecar race, as the teams, the supporters and the pit crew made their way down to pit lane. A few words of wisdom to Rob Biggs and Jerome Schmitz. A reverse grid, the top 10 switch round, which puts Ben and Tom Birchall not only because they would have been race winners, but they retired, so they are on the back of the grid. When the lights went out, Ben and Tom Birchall were charging their way through, but it was a terrific start by the number 19 Simon Robinson, with Craig Curry and Justin Sharp alongside into Paddock Hill Bend, with Phil Bell and Jimmy Connell there as well. Todd Ellis made an incredible charge through, a big coming together on the grass involving Holden and Blackstock saw both outfits on their roof. Riders and passengers fortunately without injury, but that was going into Druids, and would they get that cleared up in time before they came round? Would we indeed see a red flag? Meanwhile, Todd Ellis, Emmanuel Clement, having a real scrap with Simon Robinson. He was impressing me, but Rob Biggs and Jerome Schmitz on the back of the number 19 outfit. Were they going to make it a Santander Salt 1-2 as they run down from Pilgrim's Drop into the right-hander? That's about 120 miles an hour as they headed along to Westfield, but Robinson was having none of it. He cut back in, he and Mick Fairhurst, a good pairing, ride well together, and they were doing a good job here at Brands Hatch as well. Red flag came out, whether that was from the earlier incident or something else, possibly Scott Lorry being on the grass again had something to do with that red flag. Scott Lorry, Shelley Smithers, they've been going well too. Big crashes at Cadwell, but they got it rebuilt in time to make it back into the championship before the season ends.
Sticking.
Yeah. Last minute adjustments again in pit lane before the rerun. Ben and Tom Birchall gleeful because they get a second bite of the cherry. Oscar and Rick, father and son. Outfits lined up again for take two. Gary Bryan, Todd Ellis's stepfather, who's been so instrumental in mentoring the young man to World Championship honours, and that's what they're doing in 2 weeks' time. Out went the lights again, and Simon Robinson picked up where he left off, streaked off the line ahead of Curry and Justin Sharp into third with Phil Bell there, and then Lee Crawford showing his nose. Lee Crawford and Scott Hardy, the blue and white outfit, very, very strong and looking good as well. They were the outfit that profited from Rob Biggs' spin in the earlier outing. And they're impressing as well. Another young crew that we've come to expect big things from. Ellis and Clement past Phil Bell, making their way up through the field. Double points at stake, so a lot to play for here. Simon Robinson impressing me and everybody else on pit wall with his antics at the front of the pack, holding off the best that Britain had to offer. Not for long, Ellis and Clement were through, but Crawford and Hardy really making their intentions clear. Could they muscle away past Robinson? These were two newcomers strutting their stuff, taking advantage of a reverse grid and showing everyone what they were capable of, and doing it in style. Kershaw and Charlwood were in 4th, Big Schmitz were in 5th, ahead of an ever-improving Ben and Tom Birchall. Craig Curry and Justin Sharp slipping backwards to be passed by their teammates as a hand in the air signalled the end of the race for Phil Bell and Jimmy Connell. Ben and Tom Birchall slipped past Kevin Cable and Kyle Masters on their way to what they would hope would be a big bag full of points. Not that they were in any worry about losing points, they were already crowned champions. Crawford and Hardy, very strong performance for them. Robinson holding his own, having put a toe in the water this season with a long outfit and has taken to it like a duck to the proverbial water. How do you get away with a commentary using water twice in the same sentence in a different context? Well, that's how you do it. Kershaw and Charlwood lurking there, did not want to be poked in the eye with a stick by Lee Crawford. They wanted to make their way past, and would they in fact find a way past? Well, the answer was on your screen, because they did. Along the surtees, straight and into the left-hander and out into the country. Ben and Tom Birchall having a brilliant ride now as Simon Robinson slipped slightly backwards. Second place for Kershaw, third for Crawford, fourth for the Birchalls, fifth for Robinson, sixth for Biggs, seventh for Curry, and another red flag, and that was for an incident involving Kevin Cable, Rupert Archer, two outfits that I know of, where riders and passengers were checked over in the medical centre and taken for further observation. On the podium though, Ellis, Crawford, he must be thrilled, and it was Kershaw and Charlwood, second podium of the day. The crowd had a great event here. We had a great event. We hope you have a better insight as to what goes on in the Sidecar paddock, and I wonder what these boys thought of the Ride F1. We need to see that outfit back in their hands, or even, dare I say, even more capable hands in 2022. It needs to be on the grid, that's for sure, and it's a brave effort in building it, and there you can see perfectly that straight member right through the middle of the bike, and that one-piece fold and that one-piece section. The boys have done the Ride F1 proud, and I repeat myself, it's good to see another chassis on the grid. A debrief between the Santander Salt passengers. Time to share a joke, time to relax. Roger Body, can he ever relax? He can't even spell that. Talking to his number 2 rider, Rob Biggs. A debrief there. Awning dismantled, everybody getting ready for home now. We hope you've enjoyed our documentary here from Brands, and indeed the one that led up to it from the Cadwell Park revival. We'll be back next year. From me, Barry Nutley, from the Molson Group British Sidecar Championship and Brands Hatch. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye.